Hi, can you just confirm your first name and your date of birth? Okay, and can you confirm your emergency contact that we have listed? I just want to make sure it's the correct one. Yes, okay, that's the one we have on file. And just to confirm, you are here because you may or may not have suffered a head injury and some abrasions from falling off of a ladder. Is that correct? Okay. Okay, so I am going to give this to the nurse so she can go start updating your file while we begin your initial checkup, and I will document any findings on my keyboard, which is connected to my laptop, so that can just update in real time. But she'll go get your insurance and all that taken care of right now. Okay, so my name is Dr. SweeTea. I am so happy that you have been able to get an appointment. You know, the holiday season is always a very busy time at the doctor's office. So can you just first run me through what exactly occurred and what day this occurred on? Okay, so you're saying this happened yesterday and that you were on a ladder putting up Christmas lights and that you fell off said ladder. And you just want to make sure if everything's okay. That's what I've gathered so far. Is that correct? Okay, so it's been 24 hours. My initial questions are, have you had any nausea or excessive sleepiness? Okay, well, that's a good sign that you don't have a concussion or a major head injury, but we will check that out anyways at the end. But first, I'd like to make sure that your cuts are cleaned and that we bandage those if needed. So I'm just going to first clean my hands and put my gloves on. If you could roll up your sleeve or wherever the injury is so that I could take a look at it. Okay. So it looks like this is a wrist injury. Okay. Looking at your arm, I can immediately see that there was some bleeding that occurred here. Okay, so let me just press on this a little bit. Any major pain with me pressing on these joints? Okay. Some tenderness is to be expected, but if I'm able to squeeze that hard and you're not yelling at me, probably means it's not broken. But we should still get it cleaned up. For my documentation, it is helpful for me if I can document the size of the injury, okay? So you just keep your arm held out and I'm just gonna measure it real quick. So I have just about 2 inches, which is a decent sized abrasion. So let's look at getting it bandaged. I have this size bandage, which I think is plenty big. I just want to make sure that we don't get any of the sticky part on the actual wound. Otherwise, when you take off the band-aid, you are going to rip at that wound. I'm going to put this band-aid on, and I also have some antibiotic ointment. So to your knowledge, you don't have any allergies, correct? Like to medications. Okay, awesome. So if you have no known allergies, then this should be fine. If you do obviously experience any like excessive itching or pus, please give our office a call. All right, so I'm just going to apply this on the band-aid and then I'll apply it right to your arm. that bandage is cleaned up. Were there any other major abrasions that you wanted me to look at? Okay, let me just document what I have done so far for your care. Okay, you said that there's some bruising on the tailbone. As long as it's not to the point where you can't sit, I would imagine nothing is broken. And for bruising, I can't really put like a band-aid on that to help fix that. My suggestion is just to ice it and basically rest, okay? All right, so I would like to do a head injury check on you just to make sure that you do not have a head injury or a concussion. So for that, the first thing I'm going to do is just take your temperature, make sure that you are feeling okay and that you don't maybe have signs of infection already. Okay. Okay, 99, which is maybe a low-grade fever. It is also warm in here, so I'm not overly concerned about it. But if it were to get higher, then you may definitely have something and you should come back for maybe some antibiotics. Okay. The next thing that we are going to do is a simple test for your eyes. Being able to track eye movement is essential to knowing if you have a head injury. So I'm going to turn on my lights. I'm going to ask that you look at the light, which I know is a little uncomfortable. Okay. So here's the light, it's in your eyes. Now I'm going to ask you to follow my finger. Okay. Please follow the finger, do not move your head. Okay. Now I'm just going to pull these in and out of your eyes. We'll do this eye first. I just want to see how your eye dilates. Okay, let's do the other eye. So look right here. Okay, your eyes appear to be tracking beautifully, both up, down, sideways, and dilating with the lights, so I have no concerns there. I do have a couple other tests just to kind of see that all your senses are working correctly. So this is a smell test, which again could show that you do have some sort of brain injury. All right, give this a smell. You recognize that scent? Okay. And let's try this one. That one is actually eucalyptus, which I do think is a harder one to name. So I don't really have too much concern about that one. And we'll do this one. Yeah, very good. All right, so you got 2 out of the 3 correct. To me, that would say that your nose is intact, nothing overly concerning. So let me just document that. Okay, and then the last test actually have 2 more. But this one, what we're going to do is I'd like for you to give me that arm that is injured. And I am not going to be touching the wound directly, but I'm going to go around the wound. I just want to see if you have any nerve damage in that area. So I have this tool here. We have a dull side, and then we have a sharp side. It is not sharp enough that it's going to wound you more, but it's definitely sharp enough to know that it's sharp. So I am going to touch your arm, and you are going to tell me, with your eyes closed, if you feel the dull side or if you feel the sharp side. Okay. Are you ready? Good, that was dull. Awesome. Good. Awesome, those were all dull. All right, that was fine. So I don't suspect that you have any nerve damage. All right, so the last thing we're gonna do is, you had told me that your upper back felt like it was a bit stiff, potentially from the fall, maybe some whiplash. So if you could just turn around. I do have a massaging tool. I'll give you a little bit of a massage, and then I will send you home with some extra band-aids, antibiotic ointment if needed for your wound. Otherwise, I don't think anything's broken, and I don't think that there's a serious head injury, which is amazing. All right, you turn around. And I'm just going to put this a bit on your upper back, kind of give it a bit of a massage, see if we can release some of those muscles. Okay. If that helped, I would recommend purchasing one of these. They do sell them up front, or of course Amazon is usually cheaper. And I will make sure that the nurse up front has some extra band-aids for you. Otherwise, do you have any questions for me? No? All right, well, it was great to meet you. I'm glad that there doesn't seem to be any serious injuries, and I hope you have a great holiday season.